I have been telling you for almost 2 years that the Studio Display is the superior display when pairing with a Mac, and a 4K display is not really that great. And I love my Studio Display for the way that it works with macOS and its built-in features, but I've also been a little bit stubborn in not thinking about all of the features that a third-party display can offer. You can get lots of features in something like this DOS Spectrum 4K and many others that you just cannot get on an Apple display, and it's usually cheaper. So in this video, I want to tell you what I've been, blindly loving about the Studio Display these last couple of years, but also a lot of reasons that you may want to consider something else. And to be upfront, this Studio Display that I have is the $2,000 model that comes with the height and tilt adjustable stand that is $400 more than the base model with just the regular tilting stand. But this stand is really nice. I mean, really, like, the entire design aesthetic of the Studio Display is super nice and classy and neat and inoffensive to my desk. The entire case is made of aluminum with symmetrical bezels and perforations on the top and bottom for speakers and cooling, and there's no ugly stickers or logos anywhere. This over-engineered stand can raise and lower the Studio Display with a single finger and just feels balanced and sturdy, and you just cannot find this craftsmanship through and through on any other third-party display. And besides the display, I like the built-in features as well. There's the FaceTime camera, which, okay, it works, it gets the job done. There's the Studio 3 mic array that is pretty good for Zoom and FaceTime and Teams meetings and any other web calls, and the built-in speakers are actually pretty good and better than any other speakers that you're going to find built into another display. And I use them for everything from watching video or editing my videos, meetings and music, and basically just everything. You just are not going to find good speakers built into other displays. You're also not going to find a display like the Studio Display when it comes to integration with macOS. When you plug in the Studio Display or wake your Mac, the display wakes almost instantly. The buttons on a Mac keyboard fully control the volume and the brightness, and if you want true tone and auto brightness, it all just works and works well. And one of the biggest reasons that I love the Studio Display, or at least what I had convinced myself of over the last couple years, is the scaling with macOS. I have shown in multiple videos how 5K with macOS just looks better compared to a 4K display at the same 27-inch size when everything's scaled to the same size. Apple's 5K display resolution is 5120 by 2880, but they display everything at 2560 by 1440 by doubling the pixels, so what would be 1 pixel on a 1440p display is now 4 pixels. This makes objects the same size as you would get from a 27-inch 1440p display, but much sharper. A 4K display has less pixels on a 27-inch display, and if you double them to make everything look sharper, you essentially get a 1080p sized display compared to 1440p, and everything just looks a little bit too big for macOS. Sure, you can use these settings to scale to the size that you want, but then things are just less sharp because the pixels don't exactly line up. So for all of those reasons, that is why I have loved and have recommended only the Studio Display in the last few years. But I guess you could say that was wrong of me. There are actually many good reasons to look at a 4K display or other displays rather than the Studio Display for your Mac. Maybe you don't want or need all the features in the Studio Display, or there's things that you do want that you can't find in it, like a high refresh rate for gaming, or maybe it just comes down to the price. But I would bet for a lot of you, it's about port options. The Studio Display only has a single Thunderbolt out port and a couple of USB-C ports, so you don't get HDMI and DisplayPort or any other connectivity options. This Spectrum 4K with Gorilla Glass, for example, has dual HDMI ports, DisplayPort, and DisplayPort over USB-C for allowing you to connect up to 4 different computers or consoles or whatever at the same time. You are not stuck to using only devices with Thunderbolt or USB-C. Usually you'll find additional USB ports for peripherals on the 4K displays, and some displays might even have more input options. But honestly, you're better off using something like a dock or a hub for connectivity anyway, like from channel partner CalDigit. CalDigit makes Thunderbolt docks and hubs like the Element Hub, the Thunderbolt Station 4, and the Thunderbolt Station 3 Plus, and all of these Thunderbolt devices support high refresh rate displays like the Spectrum 4K. With a single cable from the TS3 Plus, you can quickly connect your Mac or PC to a 4 or 5K display while adding 15 ports of connectivity for everything you need, like USB, Ethernet, and SD card readers. The TS4 can give you even more with 18 ports of connectivity, including 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, and allows you to connect even higher resolution 6K or 8K displays. And the Element Hub allows you to build in just what you need, with 4 extra 10 gigabit per second USB-A ports and 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports for loads of fast storage, other Thunderbolt 4 docks, or high-res 6 and 8K displays. Need more than one external display to really get stuff done? The TS3 Plus supports up to two 4K displays at 60Hz, and the TS4 and Element Hub can support up to two 6K displays at 60Hz. So if you want to expand what you can connect to your computer, check out the CalDigit hubs and docks using the links below, and my thanks to CalDigit for sponsoring this video. Moving on to high refresh rate displays, which can be great for getting a smoother gameplay experience. They're also great for everyday computing. My MacBook Pro has a high refresh rate display, and everything on the system just feels smoother and faster. From scrolling on web pages to OS animations to even just the cursor moving around the display. High refresh is something you just won't find on the studio display, but the Dose Spectrum 4K has a 144Hz refresh rate, and this display is nearly half the cost without a stand. And you might be thinking, without a stand? Yeah, that's actually a feature, because you have the option to add the stand if you want one for your desk setup, or you can save the $100 and use any VESA stand or floating display arm that you want. You get to decide, and you're not stuck with one choice or the other because the display is not permanently attached to a stand like the stand on the studio display. What about displays larger than 27 inches or ultra-wide displays? The Samsung Odyssey G9 can give you something you'll never find from Apple, which is a crazy wide 49-inch curved display. This display has a 1440p display in sharpness, but it's like having two of them side by side. Plus, it has a high refresh rate of 240Hz, built-in speakers, and it's OLED, so real blacks and HDR. Maybe you're looking for a smart display that can act as a media hub without a computer even attached to it, like the Samsung Viewfinity S9. This is actually a 5K display, like the studio display, with camera, speakers, and a full-on smart TV interface for media and apps and games and streaming support. The S9 is for somebody who actually wants the display to act like a TV sometimes, maybe for a dorm room or a studio apartment to save space. You can usually find these on sale for about $1,100 or $1,200, but after using it for a couple of weeks, I don't think that the smart features are worth paying for, and the built-in speakers and camera are really not that great. But that's okay, because you can get a display without those if you want. Most third-party displays out there from Dell, HP, BenQ, whatever, do not have the extras built in like a webcam and speakers. Maybe you already have a good webcam like the Opal C1 or the Elgato Facecam. These cameras are going to give you a picture far better than the ultra-wide FaceTime camera in the studio display that actually kind of sucks. And other webcams will also allow you to manually control the settings to get the look that you need. And the same goes with speakers. There are a ton of great options out there for desktop speakers to give you more sound and better stereo separation than what you're going to find built into the studio display. I like the Kanto U2 speakers because they have a built-in DAC so you can still control the volume with a Mac keyboard, and they sound really good for their size and price. And the more that I think about it, the more I actually miss having that bigger sound stage from those speakers, so I'm probably going to be adding them back to my desk. But maybe you just like what you have built into a laptop, or you just plain do not need a camera or speakers for your desk, then there's no need to pay for them. I like the default color options on the studio display, and it works well for me for my videos and photos that I edit. But there are better displays out there for real color work, like the EZO Color Edge, which has a true 10-bit panel that actually shows more colors than any of these other displays that I've talked about. And finally, if your main concern comes down to price, you can get something simple, like the Samsung UR55 4K 28-inch display. It's not great, but I used two of these for quite some time, and with just a little bit of color adjustment, they are more than enough for everyday work. Plus, you can usually find them for about $250 or less, which I'll leave a link to down below. So yeah, there are a lot of options available for features that you can't find on the studio display, and it has me rethinking my stubbornness on the scaling size of macOS objects. So what if things are slightly larger on the UI? I'm not getting any younger and my eyes aren't getting any better, and most of you don't care or don't notice. It would be nice to see more 5K or higher resolution options than 4K, but I no longer see it as a deciding factor when choosing a display. So would I still recommend a studio display? Yes, absolutely. It's still the easiest, most seamless display experience for a Mac user, with the added benefit of actual good built-in speakers and a cleaner desk setup. The macOS integration is super convenient, and you just cannot beat the simple, clean, premium design. But if all of those things together are not important to you, then there are a lot of great options to get exactly what you want. So I hope that this was helpful somehow, but I'm curious what display you're using right now, and if you're looking to change or upgrade. Let me know in the comments down below. If you do want to see more about this Dose Spectrum 4K with Gorilla Glass, check out this video right over here. Hit the thumbs up button if you liked it, hit subscribe if you want, and I'll see you next time.